The media in Canada has a new sugar daddy, and his name is Justin Trudeau. Yes, one of the unintended consequences, or perhaps intended consequences, of Justin Trudeau's $595 million bailout to the Canadian journalism industry is that now Canadian consumers of news and media have to question whether the government money is in some way motivating or even impacting coverage that is passed to us as impartial or unbiased. The federal government has now announced 8 of the organizations in Canada that are going to play a role in creating this supposedly independent committee to advise the government on which news outlets qualify as being government approved or qualified in Canada. Here are the organizations as announced by a release from the Ministry of Canadian Heritage this week. News Media Canada, the Association de la Presse Francophone, the Quebec Community Newspaper Association, the National Ethnic Press and Media Council of Canada, the Canadian Association of Journalists, the Fédération Professionnelle des Journalistes du Québec, Unifor, and the Fédération Nationale des Communications. Now, what's noteworthy about this list is that 4 of the 8 represent Franco-Canadian or Quebec interests. Half of them represent a population that is a minority in Canada. The Canadian Association of Journalists, as per a great story in Blacklock's Reporter, is questioning whether it even wants to be a part of this list, saying that the government process has been incredibly opaque and that a journalism initiative needs to be transparent, but the CAJ is, to its credit, sounding the alarm that this process is so far anything but. And then there's Unifor. Now, sure, Unifor represents thousands of Canadian journalists and media industry workers, but these workers represent a slim minority of Unifor's overall membership of hundreds of thousands. Unifor is a political action group, and I think that its political mandate in many cases trumps its mandate of representing its media employees. Remember, it was just a few months ago that Unifor's leadership team participated in this photo, declaring itself the resistance to Andrew Scheer, saying it would be fighting tooth and nail to go up against the Conservatives. That's not advocating for its members, that's taking a very marked political stand against a particular party. Unifor shares a common enemy with Justin Trudeau. And the whole point here is that even if Unifor's participation in this is going to be entirely focused on its members, Canadians have to ask the question, does Unifor only have a seat at the table because it's agreed to help the Liberals by taking aim at Conservatives and fighting round the clock to do it? And by the way, that leadership team includes a newspaper columnist who has a Unifor political role that seems to trump her role as being a journalist for the St. John's Telegram. So for a government that says Canadians need to learn to combat fake news and misinformation, now Canadians also have to question whether news is reliable when publishers are at risk of the government deeming them not approved or approved. Are they sucking up to the new sugar daddy, or are they still going through the process of journalism and journalistic ethics to such a point that their content can be reliable? Remember, it was just a few months ago in January that Justin Trudeau said a Globe and Mail report was false. He actually called the Globe and Mail, in effect, fake news. So what happens if the Globe and Mail is given a piece of this journalism slush fund pie? Is it going to be that the government is funding what it thinks is fake news, or is it going to be where the government denies them funding and all of a sudden we have to question whether that decision was made because the coverage was not favorable? These conundrums, these ethical dilemmas are inevitable when there's a marriage between the political class and journalists with money in the middle of it. Canadians deserve journalism that is fair and impartial and unbiased. Canadians also deserve journalism that is transparent. When all of a sudden we have to question whether government journalism or government-approved journalism is trumping real journalism, we can't say that the federal government has actually saved the journalism industry. If anything, they've made it more muddied and mired in ethical questions. For True North, I'm Andrew Lawton. Hey, thanks for watching my video. As I noted a moment ago, the need for transparent and accountable journalism has never been more present than it is right now. True North is actually I'm planning to cover the federal government's proposed Press Freedom Summit in the United Kingdom in July. We're almost at our fundraising goal to make this coverage happen. You can get a tax receipt if you head on over to tnc.news and donate a couple of dollars or a couple $100 if you can. Thanks very much for your support. True North is here for you.